So the shows are usually about an hour at least.
Hmm.
Sometimes they run on, sometimes they're a little bit less, but generally speaking, somewhere around an hour. Um, and it doesn't really matter to me whether it lasts short or long. It kind of just happens how it happens. So
Gotcha.
your name is Max, right?
Yep.
And where are you from again? You said
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
So,
Okay.
north. Pretty cold right now, but yeah.
Is that considered Midwest or is it further toward?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Midwest.
Okay. And it's north.
Yep.
I should know. I memorized all the states at one point in my.
Minnesota, Michigan.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. There. So.
Cool. And you're
Yep.
19.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your story. What's your narrative?
Well, it started with, I guess you could say, privacy concerns on my end. More looking into the ways businesses run these days and how they've pretty much manipulated and controlled a lot of aspects of people's lives, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it really got me to think and really look into a lot more, I guess you could say, conspiracies, stuff like that, and and really expose how blatant and obvious everything really is. Um, when it really comes down to it, it's really just people not wanting to hear the truth, and I don't know. It's just it's it's hard to really get across to people because they're too comfortable in their certain life situations. And they don't want to leave them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so nothing ever really happens. I guess nothing really ever. Like most people don't really change their lifestyles. I mean, something drastic may happen, but most people don't really change their lifestyles.
Right.
I'd say 55, 60 and on, and it's just I don't know. People are just kind of living the same lives and the same patterns every day, and everybody I know, anyways,
I think I
seems.
think I think a lot of people kind of they're waiting for the big thing to happen or like a
Yeah,
catastrophe or economic meltdown. Any number of things people are just kind of like holding that, and then that thought gives them like the leeway to stay in the same exact position and not question anything.
yeah, and I don't know. It's I don't know when it particularly started. I can't really get into people's minds back in the 1910s and 20s, but I guess um, there's a lot of things you can look at and explanations and everything, but it really boils down to what people really want to do, and every facet of life I seem to look at seems to be I don't know the same. Like if
Mm.
you're rich or poor, everything seems to flow the same way. But in some situations, people do great things, but they always seem to lead back to something higher than them, or um, I don't know. It's interesting, and
Like
I just
externalizing responsibility to a deity or something like that.
mm,
Or are you talking about something else?
well, I mean, in sense, yeah. I mean, a lot of like right where you are, was it Bohemian Grove or something?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's one of them. There's plenty of other places, meetings, but I guess you could say they're owing to a deity or something. But I really, um, I don't know because it seems to me a lot of people in higher power positions seem to be very ignorant and it's like they don't even know what they're doing in sense. Um, you could even say the president in some sense is ignorant in a lot of areas of government. And,
Yeah,
he might be putting on a show, but um,
I think it makes more sense if you look at it from the upside down perspective to where
okay,
it makes sense in that perspective. So in that perspective, the one at the top would be the one that's saying things that are absolutely non-related to the actual situation, and then the people at the so-called bottom, i.e., us, that have no money or so-called power, are the ones that are having intelligent discussions about the situation. And it's not necessarily incorrect that way, because the way the society has been structured and engineered is that the masses are not even capable of ingesting information that's not the same sort of bullshit. So the top level feeds them, and if the bottom level, which is the intelligence, at least the self-declaring intelligence, it's not so much, hiding and pretending this, pretending that, having all these false fronts and all that.
Yeah.
At the bottom level, you're allowed some sort of leeway in doing your own research and having your own thoughts. And you're also not having the same responsibility in mass as the leader of the thing, which is upside down, has. And he's still, like, Trump is still doing things, but he can't he can't get on there and speak like this, because it would cause a panic, like, immediately.
Yeah. Financial meltdown and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Revolt. Yeah, I got you. Let's see here. So what's again? I think I forgot what you said before, but what started you into pretty much your journey into, like, how were you before what do you want to call it? Everything happened. Like you got the mindset you're in right now.
I was pretty normal. I mean, I was raised in a traditional sort of Catholic upbringing. We were homeschooled for most of us were homeschooled through like 8th grade, and then at some point we transitioned into public school, and I went to my dad's private high school. That's where he taught, and that was essentially my schooling. And I was just a regular kid. Like, I'd never had any thoughts about anything really. Like, I liked playing and having fun and like riding dirt bikes, exploring outside. Like, I was a country kid. And we were also intelligent. We were smart. Like, we had like we were allowed to learn in the organic way of learning, even if we were still being sort of fed the same kind of nonsense, because sort of all the education is bent in that way. We still
Children were free.
we were free to like learn it how we wanted to and utilize whatever resources. So we kind of had that leg up, but at the same time, trying to integrate that mindset into the public arena just doesn't work very well, because obviously, like, they don't want that. They want you to regurgitate, and that's not what we learned. So we had to come to terms with the fact that what was expected was something completely different.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I didn't have, actually looking at it, looking at the system, looking at how I fit into it as an individual, even before any trauma stuff or awakening stuff or bad trips. I had a lot of trauma stuff in my 20s, but before all that, still, as sort of like someone who I didn't care about any of it, never heard of conspiracy theories. Like, when 9/11 happened, I was just as horrified and traumatized as everyone else, and I was like, what's going on? We're being attacked. All these things, but at some point, it started becoming obvious that there's something going on. Like, there's a trick, or there's a ruse, or there's like it's like, Dorothy and her dog. Like, I started saying, like, oh, there's just some guy behind a curtain somewhere who's like typing things into a computer, and then it spits it out. Like, it started seeming like that to me, and I went through the same thing everybody else in this community talks about, where like they try to talk to family and friends, and there's some interest.
I almost got to that point, but I really didn't. I mean, I tried a couple things, but like, you wouldn't believe what it can drive people to do. It's it's nuts. But so were there any particular events that drove you where you were, or just pretty much found the information, stumbled upon it? What got you like interested in looking into it, or did it just pop up on the computer
It
one day?
it wasn't any one thing. It was like a it was a whole bunch of things that because like in school I was a shy kid and I didn't ever get along. I didn't
Yeah,
ever integrate into the social aspect very well. I was kind of awkward and I just watched. Like I was the wallflower. I was the one who sat.
pretty much the same here.
Yeah, I watched everyone else interact and it all seemed kind of foolish to me. Like the even the power plays the kids at school were having. I was like, take it or leave it. Uh, but all the data points that I was ingesting kind of they started at some point seeming obvious. Like this is some sort of old boys game that everyone's expected just to get in and then take a spot in the hierarchy, and without having too much creativity or don't rock the boat basically.
Yeah, everybody's doing the same shit.
Yeah, and I mean
Yeah,
yeah, and if you look at the jobs that people are holding, there's a lot of fluffy stuff like there's a shit ton of people sitting behind computers, compounding numbers all day long. Like, and even if you look at that without thinking anything beyond the fact that it's just unhealthy,
yeah,
you see people they're trading their time for money, and then they're all stressed out, and they're not living organically with the earth, and we're also trashing the earth at the same time.
yeah.
Like everything, there's just nothing that opposes when you sort of wake up. There's nothing that opposes either the person you're talking to like gets it and they're like, yeah, this is really fucked up, or we should do something about it. We should at least try to do something about it.
Yeah.
Or they do the head in the sand thing, or they get mad, or they react, or whatever. So it was.
And they go to prison. And,
Yeah.
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 I just want to point out one aspect of it. A lot of people, once they get to the conspiracy level of it, I guess, they never really leave. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think it's around 95% of people that get in that conspiracy realm.
The rabbit hole realm.
Yeah, they just kind of they stay there and never leave it. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't. It took me a while to get beyond it, but I'd say about 6 months ago, I just said, well, obviously, this is obviously planned here for a reason for me to just get stuck with it,
Mm-hmm.
so I never go anywhere else. And then I guess I went from there, tried to look up what other people's perspectives were, um, and I haven't really come to any conclusions. I've thought up a couple things, but nothing really major. I guess what drove me to where I am now was some. I can't really give specific details because it'll just give everything away, but a lot of like coincidental events,
Yeah, like synchronicity type things.
synchronicity. Like people that I grew up with. I moved hundreds of miles away from my town of. I think I lived in a town of about 1,000 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I moved to a bigger city. And then people that I knew from that town started showing up at like everywhere. Like
They came to. Wait, who showed up?
the city I'm in. The city I'm in, yeah.
The people from your old city came to the new
Yeah,
city.
the old town, yeah. Like a, yeah, I'm not kidding either. And it wasn't just one person. And these people had some particular, I don't know what do you call it, influences on how I am today, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, it was pretty interesting. Little weird events. Then one of them got a job. What the hell was it? 2 blocks from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So in a store I frequented. So.
Yep.
And then, if that's not crazy enough, another person, pretty much same term of offense, and it's just like too much coincidence, I guess you could say.
Have you talked to any of these
Um,
people about this, or they don't talk about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't known, not those people, not
No.
those people.
Okay.
Well, I just said I didn't really.
You're like, hey, what's up?
Just say, I just drove one of them. I drove one of them to quit their job
Mm-hmm.
by just being there. But, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Too coincidental.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
that's normal to me. Like that happening to.
Yeah.
It's normal to me, but only because like. As far as I understand, wherever you appear, you're supposed to be living your life. You're supposed to be doing things. You're supposed to be interacting with the people around you. and the environment, and hopefully having respect for the people and the environment, right?
Yeah.
So, and also like this, the understanding that I have is that the system itself or the universe is not an alien thing. It's part of you. You're part of it. You can communicate back and forth, and so on and so forth. So when you have these things that we understand as synchronicities,
So
it's
you're
not.
thinking like a everything's connected scenario.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
I
like that. It's not supposed to be like the. Again, you have to remember we're starting out upside down. So you're starting off feeling like you're an alien in an inhospitable environment and feeling like shit. Basically, that's how most of us started out, and that's also the upside down part. That's not you. You feel internally that that's incorrect. You feel there's something off. Obviously, if you're existing and the existence itself seems to hate the fact that you exist, like you're taught that via religions, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense,
pretty much.
and it makes you feel like shit. So to come around to the to flip the upside down right side up, what happens is something like what you're describing, where
Yeah.
the people that you know and the environment is actually moving and flowing with you,
Yeah.
right?
Evidently, it's just I don't know. Too many. I got. I think that. I think I don't know if you. I think you experienced something similar, but um, I don't know. It was just
With
like
peaches,
you
you're
know.
talking about. You mentioned that,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
because I saw a video or something. It was
Right,
one of your more popular videos, but I don't know. It's just but it was more than just like one. You know,
right,
it
right.
was more than one. So it just didn't make sense to me. Like I could understand the one, but then the like two times it was just too weird because I understand where they would where one person might just show up or come into town or something and leave, but yeah, I haven't seen like the school I went to locally. I've seen one person since I've graduated, and it's just that I've seen both of those people from a town. It doesn't make any sense to me. I
Are
don't
are
know.
you close with these people that sort of
I was very
magnetize,
close to one of them, yes,
and are you
but
interacting with them like in your current
no,
situation? No.
no, because I moved shit like 4.5 years ago or so.
Mm.
So it's just really interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can see like
Mm.
I can see it being weird in a sense where you're thinking like, oh, these are my handlers and they're coming here to keep tabs on me and such and so like you can take literally any narrative that makes sense and you can get with that
Yeah.
and then you create that in a sense. So like you can get
Or you can just look at the odds of you being here, and then you could just like take that into consideration, and that just looks like nothing to that. So
yeah.
like kind of the odds of being born versus what we know currently versus the situations I'm um, explaining, kind of peanuts, you know. But
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
mean, well,
Just a crazy thing, I guess. I don't know.
we have a hard time. We have a hard time, I think, sometimes accepting that like we are supposed to be here. Like the thing is supposed to
Yeah.
be. We're supposed to be taking part in the existence. Like we have a hard time accepting that because again, we've been taught the opposite, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So then even when synchronicities happen, the initial reaction can be one of fear because you're seeing all these things, these improbabilities appearing in your life, and you're like, well, are they trying to get me? Are they trying to control me? Are they trying to blah blah blah? But that still is a mindset that is going to lead you in that direction. Like you have to remember that you can take any stance you want to anything that's happening, and if you would rather, or if it feels more natural to see these people coming in as friends or support or
Yeah.
anything, like you can make it whatever you want to make it.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess my mind just said, well, it's just not right here.
Right,
Um, and of course, there's just other little things. And I wasn't looking for them. You know, it wasn't something I was looking out for, or really
right.
trying to manifest. It was just something that I noticed, and I don't know.
Well,
It
if
happened.
if I
Yeah.
can if I can relate to the
Yeah.
Tiffany, her name's Tiffany. That's Sunny Peaches is Tiffany.
Okay.
Um,
And how far did she live from you?
she was in She was in Colorado, I think.
That's pretty good. Prior, yeah.
And the odds of that happening like on accident are just impossible because as
Yeah,
far
one
as
in
yeah,
fucking
as far as far
590.
as far as I know, she didn't know I was in San Francisco, and I didn't know she was coming, and I didn't. It was completely out of the blue. But
Yeah.
when she flagged me down, she's like, "Hi, Gary." I didn't have fear reactions. I was just like, "Oh, it's Tiffany, cool," you know. So I was like, "Hey, come hang out," and we hung out for the day. And I know to people on the outside, because Tiffany has done a bunch of crazy videos, and she's like, poking the beast and stuff, and she's talking about lots of the things, and she got like this outpouring of hate and rage and like lots of name calling and stuff that she had to disappear off of YouTube because
Oh, okay.
basically because of what she did, like, but still, like, that's somebody doing something and then dealing with what happens because of something that she did. Like, if you sit there and stir the pot, then the pot's going to be boiling and it's going to affect you. But
Exactly.
as far as like it affecting me, I was okay with it, and I liked her. Like, I like her as a person. I don't know exactly where she is, but I communicated with her after that. I only hung out with her for one day and then it was over. But the way that I took it and the way that it seemed to me was that the system that we're in, whatever you want to think it is, if it, there's so many theories, simulation, it's a rerun, it's, it's flat earth, there's a billion possibilities, right? To me, it was just the overarching system saying to me, like, you're not just isolated and alone and afloat in a vast sea of nothingness. Like, someone somewhere somehow knows what's going on, and it was like a sign that it was like a magical thing for me. It was not negative in any way, shape, or form. But a lot of people thought, they were all suspicious. They were talking about like Uber somehow arranging the meetup and getting into all of this.
That's different.
Yeah, and like, to me, it was very simple and it wasn't complicated. It was just like a simple signal that like magical things or very unlikely things, synchronistic things, can happen, and you can do with it what you want.
Yeah. Um. So another thing I wanted to point on was the the unwillingness to accept like bad events that happen, like how you perceive our society perceives bad events.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of people seem to, I don't know, sometimes go crazy, like kill themselves and like other crazy stuff because they can't accept something, and I see this a lot. And obviously, our own government does it, but I don't know. It's just it's interesting to me that a society has um, I don't know, pretty much been brainwashed into being unoriginal and just kind of um, like I don't I don't think the lifestyle has changed since, I mean, like the 40s or so. I mean obviously technology's taken over, but the way people live in cities and everything, nothing seems to be changing, and I think it's a lot to do with privacy, and people have no way of really doing anything without being hawked over. Um, like uh, like for instance, in airports they're soon gonna be doing and I'm saying this lightheartedly, not like try to scare anybody, but facial recognition
Mm-hmm.
systems are gonna start um, being implemented like on traffic lights and Walmart's, and I think Walmart's already has it, but airports, stuff like that, and like it's going to be mandatory pretty soon here in the next, I'd say 5 years or so, and people aren't going to be able to hide from anything. They're not really going to have any, um, I guess you could say,
Like privacy.
privacy in other senses, because most people have an online presence. Um, most of those online presences like Facebook, Twitter, Google. Like Google tracks your every touch on your phone and logs it on your website on the actual site. You can actually look back, and a lot of people don't know this. You can actually look back on Google for I don't know how long that time period is, but I think it's a couple months and see where you've been, what you've done, what apps you use, what time,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess it ties into a sense of is there going to be any way out other than your mind to um, I guess be free from um, being watched, I guess, because people like act different when they're being watched, and
Mm-hmm. Or,
it's evident
or when they think they're being watched.
when they think they're being watched. Yeah,
And that is an important distinction to make, because
yeah,
if everyone were being watched, then you'd need half of the populace to be the watchers and half of the populace to be the ones that are being watched.
in sense, I see where you're coming from. I'm talking more of a. I'm not really talking about a personal level,
Mm-hmm.
like they're gonna come attacking you. More of the way you see the world. How there's a lot of people just going on one path, like NPCs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a larger group of that because they pretty much take all your everything you do. They know what age groups do what, um, in every sense you have every step of life pretty much. They'll be able to accommodate you, um, and get you where they want you pretty much. And a lot of people, I don't know if they don't know it or they don't want to accept it, but it seems to be a scary thing that's not too far away because um, it's probably already happened, but
It has already happened, and not only that, but like
on an online presence pretty much, you know.
we had 1984, right, a long time ago, that book.
Yeah.
And Big Brother and all that, and not only that, we've had every dystopian possible scenario spit in our faces since day one, and it still goes on. Like, but the point of those is that it's seeding people's subconscious. So like, we're creating things, right? You create your own life. You do things like the stuff you have on your wall. Like, you want that stuff there, you put it there, right? You create your bedroom. You create, this sort of things that you do. Where do you create it from? You create it from within, like with your everything you've ever seen or heard, and then you take that and mix it up and tweak it to how you like it, and then you make your space. So like, if you're having all these dystopian ideas, you're seeding the collective subconscious, and whatever comes out is gonna be related to that somehow. It's not necessarily gonna make it come true. It might make the opposite come true, and maybe we'll create a heaven realm. But if a dystopian novel is put out there, then it's in people's minds, and they use that. They operate around it. Most people are gonna say, I don't want to.
Use it to correlate that.
Yeah, I don't want to be living in a timeline where Big Brother is sniffing down my every single move and getting ready to send robots after me if I don't, pronounce my T's properly or whatever. Like.
Yeah.
But at the same time, again, there aren't enough people to do the watching. Like, that's why I personally don't worry about it, because it's a system that's watching, and then even if the system red flagged somebody for saying, hey, this person's too open-minded, we don't like it because they're threatening our system, the system itself flags it, and then they need actual human beings to come and tell you, like, hey kid, you're not supposed to be having such an open mind or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So there's a breakdown at some point.
More of a how they've done mind experiments and like I don't know what the hell with manipulated a lot of people into like MK Ultra or something like that. Along the lines of that, there's been other experiments, but I'm talking more of a sense of data collection. So it's not really. I'm not really talking about people. I'm talking about more easily controlling people. So the society you're in now, just like gradually going down more. I don't know. I see where you're coming from. I do. I don't know. Just thought I'd point it out. And
yeah, no, it's a valid concern for sure. Like,
yeah, I'm not really crying or scared about it because I know I won't be part of it. But just more of an informative thing. Who knows? Maybe it'll spread. But it's something legislation will never do anything about. But
they don't know anything about it. It's like I was saying with the Zuckerberg congressional hearing. The old guys are talking to Zuckerberg, who's probably a robot himself, or some sort of
Looks like an alien for Christ's
yeah,
sakes.
whatever he is, he was playing with them like they didn't even know anything about what they were talking about, and he was just like, "It's okay, honey, like calm down, I've got this handled." Basically, that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
And if there is a government anymore, it is the big corporations. Like they're the ones that are watching all the moves, and they're the ones kind of dictating the flow of information via algorithms, and that's the data aspect of it being managed by perhaps AI or some supercomputer somewhere.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to think the thought experiment to its conclusion, and you have to think, well, if AI is taking everything over and they're trying to make everyone into a part of a hive mind or whatever, then at some point, if they've removed all of the individual creativity and possibility for you as an individual to move and create and change your environment, if they've removed that completely, then there's no more human left. There's no more you left. There's no more even self-awareness left. There has to be something still has to be retained, otherwise it's just a machine. And that, so that did happen. Well, then you're not there to worry about it.
Exactly.
So it kind of fixes itself. I know that's like a bleak picture that I just painted, but it can't it can't actually get to that point and have you still there, because if you're still there, then you're still making moves and you're not an automaton.
Yeah. So I'll ask then on another I guess point. When people get to the, I guess, mindset a lot of people, like you and me or others have, although they're not all exactly the same, they really don't, like, I don't know if there's any trust, or people they can trust in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a, what do I call it? Kind of plays into what we've been talking. More of of people, I guess, again, got too informed on a lot of things, and people just want, they always want an explanation for something when there really isn't an explanation. And I guess my point is to get across to some people would be that, I don't know. Me personally, I don't really trust anybody. In sense of with like me, a person that I could trust would be somebody who could would befriend you and not take action against you for your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Something in that sense. So.
Like unconditional love, right? Kind of thing. Like
Yeah, but
if that existed.
a lot of times that can be actually broken, and with a certain event. I mean, no matter how bad it is, like, I'm not talking about, I'm pretty much talking about anything you can think of, but like, I don't really see that in any sense. Like, I haven't really seen it in any sense of in my life anyways. But
people are still in fear. Like, a lot of people are still in fear, and rightfully so, yeah. Because there has been a lot of darkness. There's been a lot of nasty shit going on behind closed doors, and it's not just behind closed doors anymore because it's coming out, and the light is being shown into the corners, but at the same time, like, people are walking around acting like robots and scared to move because the nasty shit is very nasty, and it's in all of us. Like, if one piece of your collective's doing some nasty bullshit over in the corner and trying to pretend it doesn't exist, you're going to be connected with that nasty shit somehow inside of your own self, even if you're not, like, directly aware of it. Like, you're going to feel bad, you're going to feel ugly, like, it's going to, the collective is the collective. Even if you're not directly aware of it, it's still affecting you. So it would make sense that people are running around scared and, afraid to move at all, because, like, the dark, nasty shit is dark. But at the same time, as far as I know, the dark, nasty shit is people's internal shit that they didn't deal with. They perceive, and then it gets put out into the external. So if you clean your interior, you clean your own house, clean your own backyard, clean your own mental state, your emotional state, then you've done your part for the collective, and what everyone else is doing, you're not in control of them. You're in control of your own self and how you interact with people and things like that. So, but at the same time, we're not allowed to force people to do anything. Here in the realm, we're told that you're allowed to do that via, police forcing people to do things. The police force. It's not called the police ask gently.
Yep.
So like there's a lot of contradictory things, and and it makes for it makes for a fragmented
shit like that, yeah.
It's a fragmented mental state. Fragment, right?
Yeah, there's nothing backing it up. So let's see here.
Got caught enough.
So, for in your experience in life, what has made what have you enjoyed the most? I guess not like personally, but like events. I guess. I guess personally, like what events have you enjoyed the most in your life?
I think coming to the knowledge that there are genuine people that exist, like, because for the longest part of my life, I didn't really have that. And I can't say that fully because my family is my family, and like we understand each other very well, and they've actually been a huge support for me through all of my stuff. But as far as me connecting with others in the society, it's always felt like just like a huge constriction, clamping down and not recognizing me for my output, and not appreciating me for the things I actually cared about, the things I was actually passionate about. So when I came around the flip side, after going through all the trauma, and I discovered that there are genuine, real human beings out there that feel the same way as I do, and that simply wish to live and take care of the planet, take care of each other, be kind, like very simple things, right?
Yeah.
That was a huge surprise and happiness for me when I actually discovered that was a reality.
Good.
And also just the freedom, like I discovered that we're actually free as individuals. We're completely free. The control structure is something that you have to buy into as an individual. Now, it doesn't mean that someone's not going to come bang your door down, beat the shit out of you, and throw you into prison. That's not the same thing. But even within that, you're still free. Like, you don't have... They can torture you, you have to go through all of these possibilities to understand that at the base of it, you're still free. That was a huge thing for me.
Cool. Is there anybody you got that particularly from?
I think the people that have gone through sort of torture, or people that have been executed, like singers that have done great work and made amazing music, and then they get basically executed for whatever reason. The fact that they kept true to themselves even up to getting shot or whatever, that to me is it's that freedom. We have that freedom to stay genuine and to stay doing what we feel is correct, even if someone is getting ready to kill us or murder us or torture someone we love or whatever, because all these things have happened and they do happen, and your power is in that you don't ever have to, because someone is doing anything, you don't ever have to do what they're trying to tell you to do, no matter what kind of force they're using.
Awesome. Yeah, and a lot of people, they focus their lives on getting rid of a aspect in their life, and it just consumes them like I guess you could take particular like smoking or something like that, or drinking or heavy drug use, and I guess some of them might skew your perspective, but like everybody has vices, and I guess they just, it's in my experience I've seen it's good for people to have one vice to cling on to, because
I've had plenty. I went and picked some up on purpose. Like,
on purpose?
Yeah.
What was that?
I picked up alcoholism. I picked up a nicotine habit.
On purpose?
Yeah.
Alright. For free.
um,
Did you get rid of them?
I've told this story before. I got this book called How I Became.
Short story, huh?
I got this book called How I Became Stupid,
Okay.
and the character basically did that because he was upset about the world and how he couldn't do anything about it. So he's like, "Fuck the world! I'm gonna join him. Like if you can't beat him, join him, right?" So, he did the same thing. Um, yeah, I mean, I still have alcohol doesn't really have power over me unless I give into it. If I
Okay.
do, then it does have power over me, but I can stop. Nicotine has proven to be more subtle and more devious if you want to think of it as like an addiction. I actually enjoy it. I use snus. I don't like smoke cigarettes or anything, but
Okay.
um,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people lose their minds over and get consistently berated over something stupid like that, and they just, I don't know, kind of lose it and just lose touch, and it's kind of crazy. But yeah,
the vices give meaning too, though. Like
yeah,
they provide like stability
exactly.
in a chaotic world, and that's how most people are getting by right now is they have medications up the ass, probably literally
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
And
so,
that's what the zombie apocalypse would be if it happened, is if somehow this giant machine that we have that's being run by the system to make sure the tractor trailer delivers the pharmaceuticals and all of the
yeah,
food and all the cigarettes and all the alcohol, if the machine stopped for 3 days, everyone's going to be out of their medications. And then voila, you have zombie apocalypse. If people haven't been doing their self work and they haven't learned how to simply be alive and not be having a panic attack and not be killing their neighbor and not be doing all these things, right? Like that's the
yeah,
point. That's the point of doing self work or meditating or whatever, is so that when shit does hit the fan, then you're gonna be a support person
yeah.
rather than joining in the mob, whatever they're doing.
Exactly. Walk the other way.
Mm-hmm.
um. So you said before that you've listened to a lot of Alan Watts, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your what was your big takeaway from him? That I don't know. I guess.
I like Alan. Like he,
Yeah.
I think I liked the most that he was able to like laugh. He was able to still be joyful, even though he's talking about all the same things. From the Taoist
Literally
perspective,
same exact things. Yeah.
same stuff, and all of his audience, they're going through all the same stuff. Everyone's talking about the same thing always anyway. Like they're talking about what is this life existence thing, realm, whatever. And he was able to do it and tie in, Eastern and Western religions and talk about the practice, talk about meditation, and still be humorous about it. And he would even say like, I'm a, I'm a spiritual comedian. He would say stuff like that. Like I'm here. He would say this stuff that I'm telling you is not even so crazy as like I'm hyping it up. That's what he would say. He would say I'm adding flavor to this, so you
Yeah.
guys will be entertained. He said he was a spiritual entertainer,
Yeah.
and some people don't like that. Like in the truth community, the truthers, they're like, no man, this is really serious business, and people are dying, and yes, people are dying. Like it is serious in a sense, but in another
It's
sense,
bad
it's
because
also funny.
it's bad because you were taught that way. And that's the like. There's a lot of societies where killing is part of their damn tribe or whatever. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
Sacrifice and stuff like that. But
it's been around
yeah,
forever.
yeah.
It's just like our society now. We're triggered.
I think we're on a high horse pretty much at
Everyone,
this
yeah,
point.
everyone's on a hair trigger, and we have like, what is it? What do they call it? Like hyper, no. What do they call that? Like the hair trigger emotional stuff. There's like a word for
Yeah,
it.
like really. I know what you're saying, but I can't think of the word.
Yeah, the snowflakes, like whatever makes the
Oh, snowflakes.
snowflakes
Yeah,
melt. It's just like you're super sensitive, and
to everything.
all you're doing is like trying to make sure your language is appropriate. You're not offending anybody. It's
Yeah,
like everyone's hyper, just stick up the ass, basically.
Yeah, almost everybody. Yeah.
But then if you're doing that, then you're not looking at the situation. You're not looking at what's actually happening. Like, you're sitting there being offended over some pundit said, while 2 feet away from you, your neighbor is laying in his own piss on the sidewalk, and he's been laying there for like 5 fucking days. Like, there's a very slight hypocrisy going on.
Yeah. Oh, good point. Yeah. Oh, it's just weird. You can like a lot of quotes from bigger people, Ben Franklin, Hitler, a lot of people, Stalin even. They just like it's like you just keep bringing something up and bringing something up, and soon it'll just be completely true.
Yeah, right.
That's exactly what's happening.
If you tell a lie enough times, then it becomes the truth or something.
Yep. And you make it good.
Yeah. But that's part of the burden of being a creator. Like,
yeah,
you have you have to take responsibility for what you created, right?
Exactly. Yep.
What's the alternative to that? Well, you blame it on someone else. You blame it on God, blame it on the devil, blame it on your mother, blame it on your dog, blame it on your body, because my body's fucking ugly and how dare I be born into this thing. You know, like, just get offended over everything.
Exactly.
That's the alternative to taking responsibility, and you can do either one, or you can do a mixture. Or you can just ignore everything and go float off into the sky.
A lot of people do it. A lot of people do that. Kind of like, I don't know. Like, you could think yourself of, like, a lot of people can think themselves, kind of compare themselves to nature before civilization came through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it happens, and it's not that there's nothing you can do about it, but probably the better end of the stick would be to just, I don't know, people just seem to, the whole country or the whole world's pretty much revolving around our country, or the United States right now, and you can see the same shit going on, and it's interesting to see, and like you said, a lot of people are waiting for a big event to happen so they can have excuses to go out and do the crazy shit they dream about.
Yeah, they even have a name for it. It's called The Event.
Yep, the event. Yeah.
That everyone's waiting for. Or they're waiting for, for Jesus to come, or they're waiting for whatever, but...
And what they don't realize is they can do it right now.
Yeah.
Exactly what they...
And you don't have to do it nuclear explosion style. Like, you can...
Exactly.
You can go live your life, and you can be creative, and you can wake up and be like, hey, I'm gonna walk out naked and see what the neighbors... You can do anything you want to. Like,
public decency.
Yeah, you can do anything you want, but it's scary. Nobody wants to do it because they're like, oh my god, something bad's gonna happen. But the whole point of living is so you go try shit and see what happens, and then move on from there.
What do people have conversations about 95,000% of the time? Bad things. Think about it, man. It's crazy. I don't know. I'm around people that all I can seem to. I mean, maybe somebody starts out with a hi, how you doing, but then goes to complete opposite, complaining about their job. Like, I don't know one person that has a job that doesn't complain about it. It's interesting. I don't particularly have a job, but I got nothing to complain about currently. So.
Are you making money?
Yeah, of course.
And are you just hustling, or like you're doing your own thing? You're not working for anybody?
Let's just say, ever since I just detached myself from everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can give you a little example. So I started with about 2 years ago. I got a loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw a lot of people, right? They have this cool stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. I'll have some of that cool stuff with money I don't have, right? I'm like, okay, so I took out this loan, and I went out and bought a nice, not a nice car, but a car, and all this. I got a nice watch, Omega, great thing. And then I just looked at one day, okay, I don't own any of this shit. The bank, whoever the fuck, and PayPal does, because they give loans.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm like, oh well, I guess I'll just sell the shit that I took. I sold the watch I had, right? Got debt free completely. This was about, I'd say, 5 or 6 months ago, And ever since then, I mean, I used to do an electronics business, completely went out of that because I couldn't. I mean, this is just my personal thing. Anybody else can do what they want. I just didn't like what it was doing to people, just
Mm-hmm.
kind of my own thing. So I just took my own initiative, I guess, and stopped doing that. Can't tell anybody else that because I think you're crazy. But yeah, I guess I just I live without owing people things, and now I can just help other people out and do whatever. If it's something small, even it's good. Just kind of give somebody something small or help them out. But the way I make money now, it's of course you're gonna have to you gotta be selfish to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
If you want to keep doing a couple things, but not necessarily. You don't have to. You can go. Just go live in the streets or just walk around in the woods, which for a lot of people seems kind of fun right now. But I don't know if they're doing it because they really want to, or they're doing it because they've been forced to. But yeah, that's just kind of my little experience. I guess I don't know. I guess there was some influence in it, but it wasn't from anybody that in my personal life. So it really isn't anything I can really credit to anybody. I know it just kind of sucks, but
you can credit to yourself.
Yeah, pretty much it. Yeah, because I can't really. I mean, I know people that 16-year-old kids and shit getting fucked right away out of high school, and it's just horrible. But if that's how they want, obviously they didn't want it, but they've been pressured into it. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of good to be. Not, I guess I already said this, but not owing anybody anything and just kind of going your own way, no matter what low part you are in society. Like, I don't know if I said this already, but I guess you kind of live the same way in sense. If you're in the ivory tower or if you're in a pit of sand, so.
Yeah, you're the same. You're the same human. You're just dealing with different sides of problems. The kind
That's what this society seems to overlook. I don't know why, but.
The way I approach it as far as how I interact with people is that like all this knowledge, right? I have all this knowledge and I see, a lot of it's shitty and, a lot of it's not good and I could sit there and whine or whatever. I could go, screaming from the rooftops that such and so is fucking us over. But a better way as far as I'm concerned to do it is have the knowledge and speak to the person, and then if that particular arrangement, whatever conversation you're having, it comes up that a bit of the knowledge may be useful, then you introduce it in a way that's not going to throw them into a panic attack or throw them into defense mode or throw them into let's go tell daddy government that such and so is being bad or what any of those things. You don't need to fan that fire. Like, you can use that knowledge to actually help the person and without freaking them out. That's the way I approach it.
Yeah, that's like I actually wrote that down before we started talking. It's good to have lots of skills and a lot of different knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really have to live it. You don't have to live every little aspect of it, but it's good to have it ready or just have it so you can experience life more. I mean, once you've experienced everything you can just start making your own. It's kind of a interesting perspective and. Like, there was something, I don't know, this is some old guy that was, I think it's on YouTube, but I thought of this, and I was wondering if anybody else did. It was weird, because you know how everything's off of a belief construct, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, people believe in things, right? And you can ask people, like, probably 100% of people said they believe in something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't believe in belief itself, that kind of canceled out everything, And I guess if you're not tied to believing in a certain area, it just kind of sets you free.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. And
yep.
It's just, I don't know, kind of the thing I thought of months ago and never really went through with it, but kind of coming to terms, so.
Yeah, I mean that's what no mind is, and when they talk about get rid of the mind or when they talk about like you have to see outside of your own mind, that's what they're talking about, because mind is
And that's hard to
conceptual.
do.
Mind is conceptual. Beliefs are made of words for the most part. And if you can look into your reality and see like there's not a word painted on every single object, the trees don't have the word tree written on them, right? Like this is inside of my head, then you can say, "Oh, I'm free. Like I can engage the conceptual world or I cannot." It's optional,
Yep.
right? Uh-oh.
Yeah, and what's up?
My computer's trying to encroach on my space. I fixed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just see everybody just in society just seems to want to have an explanation for anything and everything, or explain their actions and
You just have to be gentle with people.
yeah, just gotta be with it.
That's the only thing I've learned is you have to be gentle with people, and
Very
like
gentle. Yes.
people will literally have Og called it like spiritual like murder, basically. Like if you're pouring too much knowledge onto somebody who's not ready for it, you can traumatize them to where they
Yeah,
can't
I
even
know.
function anymore. So like just being gentle with people and understanding that wherever you were at, 2 years ago, wherever prior to beginning stages of awakening, if someone came to you and said such and so, you could be traumatized by it and just carry that knowledge, when you're talking with people.
Yeah. And if you want to get somebody on the same page as you, it's like I said before, it's not good to just it's good to like subliminal messages, but not to just like you just said pour it all on, and they might just boom.
Well, remember that it's their option. They can
Exactly.
they can think you're full of shit for all of eternity. That's also their option. Like they have that right.
Maybe we are. Who knows?
It's just respect, really. It's like basic respect for other beings.
Exactly.
And that's without even getting into all the animals and all of this. That's another can of worms.
It's like animals used to be us, and they realized, you know, maybe we just shouldn't give a shit anymore. Kind of like dog,
Yeah, like that's the next
They
evolution.
hang out, right? They just kind of hang out.
The evolution after humans is like you become like a beautiful bird where like you don't need
But they're
to.
actually a lot smarter than us. They just don't tell us.
Right. Now they're sitting up there like laughing and pooping on our cars and stuff.
Exactly. That's like,
It's target practice.
exactly. And then, yeah. I guess you can. I guess we kind of just went over pretty much existence in general. I mean, it's kind of once you get past the being offended part, and which you still can be if you choose to, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, once you get past those parts and you realize anything can happen and that anything thought up is possible, it's just like, I guess you can go with it or you can do what you want.
And also the people that are the beings, the ones that are trying to vice clamp the existence into doing exactly what they want.
Yeah.
The existence is the same thing for them. It's still unknowable. They still can't control it. It's still beyond their little tentacles. Even you can buy into it and then you're in the tentacle, or you can say you're full of shit and you're not in the tentacle. Like it's no. There's literally no individual within the existence that has the power or the right to say like all of you beings must do this or else. Like it just doesn't exist unless they believe it. If they believe it, then they deserve it. It's like they say, the people deserve the government that it gets. They deserve it.
Yeah. It's like I think Benjamin Franklin, like they said the beginning of the country was great, but only if maybe it was Thomas Jefferson, but they said only if you keep it up,
Yeah.
Only if the freedom stays, but day by day, it's I guess it's how you perceive it, because laws are only there if they're enforced. So you can do whatever you want, just don't get caught, I guess. It's
You're free to do what you want, and you're also free to receive whatever consequences actually happen, not just what you think might happen.
And then the scary thing is a lot of times when you think about those consequences, then they happen. So
Yeah, that's how you learn. That's how you learn what creation means. You might find
Exactly. Just do it.
you might find yourself in jail and be like, well, how the fuck did I end up here?
Well, yeah, exactly.
You
If you
know.
thought of it, who knows? Um,
But still, it's still self work. Like what happens inside of your own brain, even whether thoughts are constantly happening, is also your self work. Like if you've never paid any attention to it, it's just running like a like a highway. Basically, there's a highway inside of your mind, and the cars are going just shooting
exactly.
by, and you have no clue like why they're there, or what they're doing, or anything. And then if you
Yeah.
get into self work and meditate a little bit, figure out your thought process, then you can have your freeway be completely clear. Unless you're like, hey man, let's have a thought. Then you have a little car come slowly, like hello thought. You can interact with it, and it's not running you over and things like that. Like it's
Yeah.
your option. You don't have to have the crazy thought train. Like you can work on yourself and then have it be quiet inside.
Yeah. And another, I don't know if this, I think this is a quote by Alan Watts. He said that I don't know if he said this particular, but he said there has to be good and evil, because otherwise one would take over. You
Mm-hmm.
know. So a lot, some people don't understand that either, and it's a good thing to think about or understand that if you have an even amount of good and evil, it's kind of a Goldilocks zone, I guess
It's a
you could
balance.
say. Yeah, it's a
It's
balance.
a balance. If all of the evil people were killed, and all of a sudden we were in heaven and there was no more evil,
It'd
it
be
would
boring.
it would not only that, but it can't even exist. Like as long as you're in duality and you can say up and then down, you can say left and then right, and you can say good and you can say evil, and you can say tall and you can say short, and you can put all these dualities together. If you look around and you say, oh, I'm in a dualistic universe, none of the sides can ever win, ever, ever, ever. Otherwise, the thing would explode or it would disappear or it would wink out of existence. It just can't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much. That's it's one of the better ones, I think. A lot of people just dwell on the bad, but I don't know.
People get off on riding the polarity
They do.
circus.
I don't know. Like I heard this from somebody. They said that people just have to create problems, even when there's none. You know,
Yeah.
there really isn't a problem. You just a lot of people just kind of create it out of nothing. Can have a can have everything.
It's comfort. Like people who have been suffering their entire lives, the long suffering people, if the
Mm-hmm.
problems are gone and they're just sitting in their rocking chair having a Cuban cigar, they're like, somebody must be coming to kill me right now. Like, there's no way. There's no way that I'm just sitting
Yep.
here having a nice smoke on my, on my porch with the rocking chair. Like, there's no way. So then what happens? Somebody comes and kills them. You know what? Like, this is how we operate. It's. You don't have to have it that way though.
Exactly. And if something happens, it happens. You know.
Yeah.
Rocket fall on the street. Who knows? But just an example. But yeah, I don't know. Just the internet. It's a great thing. It's just I just wanted to preface that I don't know. People should have their. I don't know. It's just but this is just my opinion. This isn't like the collective.
Yeah.
But privacy is one of my biggest, I guess, strong points I try to help people with. But you could pretty much go to any YouTube channel, and in particular, and find out exactly where people live in. It's just kind of scary, you know. They have millions of followers.
Yeah, but
Just
you have to also think that
their houses.
the internet thing has also brought all of
Yeah,
the pedophiles to the light. It's brought the
yeah,
murderers, the war crimes, the dictators in tiny countries that thought nobody was watching are now being watched.
yeah.
Accountability is coming in for a lot of people. Like it's
It
always
kind of
good.
kind of gets the ignorant, crazy people out of the mix, I guess.
It's always good and bad. Like there's no new phenomenon that comes in that's just like, ah, the savior has arrived, or it's just like the devil has come to steal all of your souls. It's never just one or the other. It's always some mixture, and it's depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. If that did happen, how many people would actually believe it, right? You know,
I don't know.
like some guy tomorrow says, "I'm Jesus," you know. It's like,
We already have that. Isn't there somebody where Jesus
Australia.
Australia? There Jesus and Mary Magdalene are living currently. You can go look them up on YouTube. Not only that, but there's a ton of Jesus and Marys everywhere. Like
exactly.
people keep talking like, oh, something's gonna happen. Everything is already happening currently right now. You just need to go find out
Yeah,
where.
the worst. If you wanna, I don't know. as Eddie Bravo would say, if you want to look into it, everything bad you can think of is happening currently.
Yeah, yeah, and everything good, like all of the
Yeah,
beautiful
everything
people.
great happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's both.
yeah,
How do you wish to, put yourself into the mix? How do you want to portray yourself?
exactly. Where do you want to be? Do you want to create something new, or do you want to go along with the flow? I guess
Yeah.
pretty much what it's come to. So,
Yep. This is true.
like money, it depends what you put value on. A lot of people put value on paper and numbers, and a lot of people put value on guns and silver. So, yeah.
And then that stuff always changes. You never know what's going to be valuable tomorrow. Who knows?
Shit, tomorrow it could be a bottle of water you could trade for the Trump Tower in New York.
Yeah.
Like, well, shit. Let me just die of thirst here while I sit in this tower.
I think
Yeah.
I think just we need creativity, like on the individual level, creativity with our own lives, with the people that are around us. Actually communicate with people around you. Like I talk to almost every single person that I meet, and with an actual curiosity about their lives, and then you talk to another human. What are you doing? You're looking into an entire universe. Every single human being is one full universe. Like
It's your own custom ways.
yeah, it's a different perspective, and then you enlarge in your own little universe. Your own little bubble is going like this, and then you're also getting you're getting safety, you're getting trust, you're getting some form of security because that person has your back in some sense, right?
Yeah.
So it's creative exploring. Like that's what I advocate.
Okay. Awesome. But yeah, I guess past the you could do everything and everything's happened. I don't know what else there is to really.
But it's not. It's not. It's
You could
not.
take this. Yeah.
Everything hasn't already happened. Like it's still concepts. Like you're still.
Well, it's a concept. You can't prove anything.
You're still alive. Like you're gonna have
Scientific method.
once we hang up on the phone call, then you're gonna be with yourself in your room, and you can look around and say like, look, maybe I haven't even explored my room yet. Like you can do it or do anything.
I wish I had this many clocks. It's actually the store that I work with my mom, but
Oh, nice.
yeah, that would be a little crazy. But
Yeah. Do anything.
too much ticking.
Do what you want.
Exactly.
Well, we're running up on like an hour and 15 minutes, so I think this is probably good a closing time.
Sounds good.
But thank you for
Great
coming on.
talking with you, man.
Yeah. We'll do it again sometime. You can come back and report on your creative explorings.
Sounds good. Hope there's something new.
Yeah. There's only going to be something new if you go make it.
Exactly.
Go make it. Do something cool.
All right.
All right, Max. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, be chill.
Bye.
Bye.
I still have this mullet guy in the background. The mullet man. The chicken nugget cavity guy.
Yeah.
He has the best face. I should interview him.
You should.
You think we can make that happen?
Yeah. Why not?
Let's make that happen.